Hello students, today I have come up with the next part of the chapter Chemical Changes and Reactions. In this video, I'll continue with this chapter and start with simple displacement reaction and double decomposition reaction. So let's start with simple displacement reaction. Okay, so in simple displacement reaction, what I have told earlier, okay, let me write the name first. Sorry. Okay, what I have told you earlier is that in a simple displacement reaction, there is an element and there is a compound. I am explaining you with an example. There is an element and a compound. This element will react with this compound, and what will it do? It will displace another element from this compound and it will itself form a new compound. So Zn will displace copper from CuSO4 and it will combine with SO4 means sulfate to form zinc sulfate. And the displaced element will remain in the form of element. Here it was metal, so it will remain as copper metal. Okay, so this is simple displacement reaction. Now, what is the driving force that will allow this element to break the bonds of a compound and form new bonds? Chemical reaction means breaking of old bonds and forming of new bonds. So what is the driving force that will allow the breaking of the old bonds and formation of new bonds with this element? That driving force is the metal reactivity series. I will write the series here once. Potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, lead, hydrogen, copper, mercury, silver, platinum, gold. Okay, so this is known as the metal activity series. What is a metal activity series? The metal activity series is that series in which all the metals are arranged in such a way that the most reactive metal will be at the top of the series, most reactive, and the least reactive metal will be at the bottom of the series. Which means as we move from top to bottom, what happens? Reactivity decreases. So this is the metal reactivity series. What I am saying about this series? That this is a series in which metals are arranged in the decreasing order of reactivity. Means as we move down from potassium to sodium to calcium to magnesium to aluminium and at last to gold, the reactivity of the metals decreases. So the metals which are at the beginning of this series will be the most reactive metals, and the metals which are at the bottom of the series will be the least reactive metals. So look at the position of zinc and look at the position of copper. Zinc has a much higher position with respect to copper in the metal activity series. So zinc is more reactive than copper. Since zinc is in a higher position than copper in the metal activity series, so zinc is more reactive than copper. So when zinc is more reactive than copper, it can easily displace copper from copper sulfate and form zinc sulfate and copper metal. So in this reaction has a famous observation. The question in your test will come like this: that we know that copper sulfate has a blue color, deep blue color, you can say. So we can ask you this question, that the deep blue color of copper sulfate fades on addition of zinc granules, but when silver metal is added to that same solution of copper sulfate, the color remains unchanged. Explain the observation. So what question can come? That the blue color of copper sulfate fades when zinc granules are added to, zinc granules means the small particles of zinc metal. Zinc granules are added to this solution, but when silver metal is added to the same copper sulfate solution, its blue color will remain unchanged. What can you say about that observation? Now, first we will say that zinc is present, zinc has a higher position than copper in the electrochemical in the metal activity series. So your first point will be zinc has a higher position than copper in the metal activity series. Since zinc has a higher position than copper in the metal activity series, so zinc is more reactive than copper. So zinc is more reactive than copper. So it can displace copper from its salt to form a new compound. Okay. So it can displace copper from its salt to form a new compound, which is ZnSO4. After that you will write this reaction. This reaction you will write here. Okay. Then you will say that the color of copper sulfate is deep blue. So when zinc displaces copper from copper sulfate, it forms a new salt, which is ZnSO4. So the blue color of copper sulfate fades because a new compound is formed, which is ZnSO4, and the color of ZnSO4 is not at all blue. So after writing this reaction, you will write what I have said just now. Okay, this was all about zinc. At the same time, the question was said that when you are adding silver metal to copper sulfate, the color does not change. Why? Because look at the position of silver. When silver reacts with copper sulfate, no reaction occurs. Why? Because silver is having a lower position than copper in the metal activity series. So when you are adding silver to copper sulfate solution, no reaction takes place. Okay. So since silver is at a lower position than copper, so silver is less reactive than copper, and so it cannot displace copper from copper sulfate, and so no reaction occurs. So the deep blue color of copper sulfate remains unchanged. Okay. So this is a very good example of a simple displacement reaction, and this comes in your exam more often. Okay. So let's come to other examples also. Let's come to the other examples of this displacement reaction. With copper sulfate only, if I come, magnesium with copper sulfate, you only can tell me the reactions. Aluminium with copper sulfate and iron with copper sulfate. See, magnesium, aluminium, iron all have higher positions in the metal activity series as compared to that of copper. So all these three metals can displace copper from copper sulfate and form new salts. Magnesium will displace copper to form magnesium sulfate and copper metal. Aluminium will displace copper to form, very sorry for doing such mistakes. I am balancing this reaction. Iron sulfate and copper. So these are the examples of certain displacement reactions. Now remember one thing, that in displacement reactions, hydrogen also takes part. See, hydrogen is present in the metal activity series. So in such displacement reactions, hydrogen also take part. How will it take part? We have often studied that magnesium reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid to form magnesium chloride and hydrogen. What is this reaction? You have learned this in the preparation of, you will learn this in the preparation of hydrogen also. You have learned earlier also that magnesium reacts with dilute acid to form magnesium salt and hydrogen. What is this reaction? This is a simple displacement reaction. How? See, hydrogen is lower in position as compared to magnesium. So magnesium will displace hydrogen from HCl and it will form magnesium chloride salt, and hydrogen will be obtained as hydrogen gas. Okay. Iron with H2SO4. See, again hydrogen. Iron's position is higher than hydrogen in the metal activity series. So iron will easily displace hydrogen from H2SO4 and from iron sulfate and hydrogen. Okay, remember these acids will be dilute acid. Okay. Okay, so till now I have said displacement reaction. I have told you displacement reaction following the metal activity series. Now there is a non-metal activity series also, but that non-metal activity series is not that important. There is displacement reaction of non-metals also, but the displacement reaction of non-metal is governed by the electronegativity of the non-metal. Means how much electronegative is the non-metal. I will show you with an example. Look at this reaction. Look at this reaction. Here chlorine is a non-metal. KBr is a salt of bromine. Chlorine will displace bromine from KBr and it will form new compound KCl, and bromine will be obtained in the form of element. Okay, so what is the problem in it? Means how it is governed. We know that I'm rubbing this part a bit, okay? We know that fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. This is the way the halogens are placed in the periodic table. You will learn periodic table later in this class only, but just I am telling you that the halogens are placed like this: fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine in the periodic table. and when we are moving down this series, the electronegativity of the non-metal decreases. So chlorine will be more electronegative than bromine. Since chlorine is a non-metal and it is more electronegative than bromine, so it will displace bromine from its salt and form a new salt with the cation, and bromine will be obtained separately. Okay, so these are all about displacement reaction. Now I'll come to double decomposition reaction. Double decomposition reactions, the reactions are very important. In the reactions of simple displacement, decomposition and double decomposition are very important. Especially the observations, the way you are answering your answers in the questions, all this. Okay, so let's come to the next one, which is double decomposition reaction. Okay, in double decomposition, I will first tell you by the representative formula and then I will explain that to you. Consider AB is a compound and CD is another compound. In AB compound, A is the cation and B is the anion. In CD compound, C is the cation and D is the anion. Here, both the compounds will react with each other and there will be exchange of the cations and anions. A was a cation, B was the anion which was forming bonds with A. C was the cation and D is an anion which form bonds with C. So, there will be exchange of anions here. A will now form a new bond with D and C will form a new bond with B. So, this type of reactions are known as double decomposition reactions. So, let's come up with the examples. Okay, now remember one thing, in double decomposition reaction, most of the cases there are formation of precipitates. Now, what is a precipitate? Precipitate is an insoluble compound. An insoluble compound formed after the reaction that will settle down at the base of the test tube. So what is a precipitate? At the end of the reaction, if an insoluble compound is formed, that will settle down at the base of the test tube. That insoluble compound which settled down at the base of the test tube is known as a precipitate. So remember, in double decomposition reactions, at least one of the compounds formed is insoluble. So in double decomposition reactions, precipitation occurs. So double decomposition reaction is also known as precipitation reaction. Okay. Now there are two types of precipitates. One, non-colored precipitate, means which are already white in color, just white in color, no no such no such texture difference also, just a white colored precipitate, non-colored. And the other one is the colored precipitate. Okay, so now first I'll talk about the non-colored precipitate. So let's look at the examples. Calcium chloride reacts with sodium carbonate to form sodium chloride and calcium carbonate. Okay, precipitation sign is like this. Means the compound which is insoluble and will form precipitate, you have to give a downward arrow beside that compound. Because NaCl is a soluble salt, it is not at all a precipitate. Okay. Now I will show you the reaction of zinc nitrate with sodium carbonate. What will you see? Again, sodium nitrate will be formed and zinc carbonate. Zinc carbonate is the precipitate. Just look at these reactions. In calcium chloride, calcium was the anion, chloride was the cation. Calcium was the cation, chloride was the anion. In sodium carbonate, sodium was the cation and carbonate was the anion. Just in the products, the exchange of radicals took place. See, calcium now combines with carbonate and sodium now combines with Cl. In all these reactions, you will see the same variations. Zinc sulfate. Zinc sulfate reacts with ammonium carbonate to form ammonium sulfate, and along with that zinc carbonate. Okay. Lead nitrate. Will react with sodium chloride to form sodium nitrate and along with that lead chloride. Okay. Now I will come to the next reaction, which is again with lead nitrate, but this time lead nitrate will react with sodium sulfate to form sodium nitrate and lead sulfates precipitate. Okay? Okay, these are all the examples of non-colored precipitates. Okay, so there are many other reactions in which non-colored precipitates are formed, which are examples of double decomposition reaction. But all the reactions are not possible to be shown on the board. Okay, so these are the reactions which are important. Okay, now I'll show you the precipitates which which have color. Generally, the precipitates of copper, iron, they show very good color. Okay. Now I'll show you the colored precipitates. Iron sulfate reacts with sodium hydroxide to form sodium sulfate and along with that iron hydroxide. Okay, iron hydroxide is a dirty green precipitate. Now remember one thing, that this is ferrous hydroxide. Ferrous hydroxide has a dirty green precipitate, but ferric hydroxide will have a reddish brown precipitate. It has a reddish brown precipitate, ferric. The color of ferrous salt and ferric salts are different. Now I will come to ferric chloride. Ferric chloride also reacts with, this will be most probably 3NaOH to give NaCl plus FeOH whole thrice. Its color is reddish brown. Now I'll come to copper sulfate. Copper sulfate reacts with NaOH to form Na2SO4, sodium sulfate. These are soluble. So all the sodium salts are soluble. Remember this. And copper hydroxide precipitate. This is pale blue in color. Okay. And now I'll come to zinc sulfate. Zinc sulfate reacts with NaOH to form. Okay, first I'll write the sodium salt, that will be easier. Sodium sulfate and along with that zinc hydroxide. Now zinc hydroxide precipitate is also white. Remember, zinc hydroxide precipitate is also white, but the texture of that precipitate is gelatinous. So you can differentiate it from the normal white precipitate. It is gelatinous white in color. The texture of the precipitate is different. Okay, now I am left with just the last reaction for which I have to rub some of the reactions. Okay, lead nitrate. Lead nitrate reacts with NaOH. I am balancing it together only to form sodium nitrate, and along with that lead hydroxide. Now the color of lead hydroxide is also white, but lead hydroxide forms a chalky white precipitate. You can differentiate it with normal white. Gelatinous white, chalky white, these precipitates can be differentiated with normal white precipitates. So these are not kept under non-colored precipitates. Okay. So these are more or less the displacement reaction and the double decomposition reaction. Okay. Now under double decomposition reaction, we also come to a point which is known as neutralization reaction. This neutralization reaction is very easy, you can say. Why it is very easy? Because the word neutralization means you are neutralizing something. So, which two substances can be neutralized? Obviously, the two opposite substances with opposite characters can be neutralized. So, in neutralization reaction, acid reacts with base to form salt and water. So, neutralization reaction means acid reacts with base to form salt and water. Now, the acid and the base, let's consider the acid and the base. Acid let's take as HCl and the base as NaOH. It can be a base or an alkali. You know that a soluble base is known as alkali. But that doesn't mean that only alkalis are involved in neutralization reaction. Normal bases which are not soluble in water are also involved in neutralization reaction. I will come to those examples. This will give you the salt NaCl and along with that water. See, an acid reacts with the base to form salt and water. Let's come to another example. Copper oxide reacts with H2SO4. Remember, the acids used are dilute acids, not concentrated acids. Dilute acids will do this work very easily. No need of concentrating the acids. So, this is giving you salt and water. When lead oxide reacts with nitric acid, dilute nitric acid, I am saying again and again that all the acids used are dilute acids, no chance of concentrated acids. I will balance this reaction, don't worry. Okay. Now let's come to, these are the oxides that react with the acids to give salt and water. Now I'll come to certain metal oxides that will react to give salt and water. But these metal hydroxides, these are not, these means copper hydroxide and lead hydroxide. These are insoluble hydroxides, okay? These are insoluble oxides, these are insoluble hydroxides. It will react with H2SO4. This will react with, I will show you with HNO3. To give you CuSO4 plus 2H2O. Lead nitrate and 2H2O. Okay. Now soluble base. In soluble hydroxides, soluble hydroxide example is sodium hydroxide reaction. Another reaction is with ammonium hydroxide. These are soluble, okay? Sodium hydroxide, ammonium hydroxide, soluble hydroxides. These two are insoluble hydroxides. These two are insoluble oxides, but this is soluble and this is also soluble. It reacts with dilute HCl to give you NH4Cl plus H2O. So I am telling you again and again that neutralization will easily occur with dilute acids, no need of concentrated acids. Okay, so beside each of the acids I am not writing the word dilute, but remember this, that neutralization reactions easily occur with dilute acids only, no need of concentrated acids. Okay, so these are all about the neutralization reaction. Now there are certain important applications of neutralization reaction. Number one of it is that you generally have an antacid. You say no, when you are having an acidity, that I will just have an antacid as a medicine to it. How it acts as a medicine? Antacid is generally magnesium hydroxide. This magnesium hydroxide reacts with the acid of your stomach. You know that your stomach contains HCl. When the acids present in the stomach, the acid formation increases a lot. At that moment, you will have the acidity, which on having an antacid which contains magnesium hydroxide, the acid present in the stomach will be neutralized. The antacid contains magnesium hydroxide and the stomach contains HCl as an acid. So when the acid of your in your stomach increases, if an antacid is taken as a medicine, then it will neutralize with the acid, and what will it do? It will form salt and water. So both of them are neutral substances. Okay. Another one is that when you are having when you are getting a sting by a bee sting or any other substances which have a sting, in that case you generally add sodium bicarbonate to it. Why? Because this sting is acidic in nature, is generally acidic in nature. The sting of a bee generally acidic in nature, but when you are adding sodium bicarbonate to it, the effect is nullified. Sodium bicarbonate is somewhat basic in nature, so that will nullify the acidic nature of the sting of the bee. So neutralization reactions have practical examples also, which you can easily understand by now. Okay, so this is all about displacement reaction and double decomposition reaction. From the next video or the last video, you can say, from this chapter, I will just explain to you what are endothermic and exothermic reactions and certain reactions of heat and light. Okay, so thank you.